I was saying, we were talking about tight spots, and that the big thing is your first problem or your first several problems are basically your course, and you're paying for your education. And my answer to that is, I often find, if I've got my wits about me, to ask a question instead of accept what's being told to me, then often it resolves itself. We had a situation with a client where the workers' comp insurance carrier, we have to report all our clients to the workers' comp insurance carrier, and they weren't happy with the contract, and they basically said, nope, we're not covering you. You have to send us a notice within a certain number of days that you've canceled this contract. Otherwise, we will cancel your entire policy. Very strong stuff. But insurance carriers tend to get aggressive because they're afraid people will take advantage of them. So I paused before I hit the reply, which is also a useful skill.
Very good, important skill. Yeah. I've been there.
And then instead of making a comment, I asked a question, and I just said, what do we need to do to make this work and be compliant? And I kind of thought we were sunk, but sure enough, I got a couple of pointers. And it was interesting because the previous correspondence, the one right before this, had basically been couched in, there are no options, you must stop. Right. And she came back with a couple of things, and I thought, okay, this still may not work out, but let's see. Sure enough, we changed to, got a little more specific in the language of the client agreement, forwarded it over, and the next one was, okay, good, this works. And that was the end of it. So, what started out to look like, oh man, am I really going to have to not do this particular client deal? It turned out to be acceptable. And that seems to be the case with a lot of things. If you can just somehow phrase it in terms of a question, well, what would it take, or what was your issue, or how would it be for you ideally? We tend to at least get a little information, if not actually save the situation. Sometimes, as you point out, maybe we're really going to lose the client or lose the opportunity, but we still get some information out of it. So this is a key thing, and it's part of that persistence mentality, is that you just have to find the way, and we can't assume that the way we think it's going to go is the right way, and that's been true of free agent source. As you know from the early webinars, we got some feedback that said, well, it's really good, but my situation is this, and it's a little different, and it's things that I had never really anticipated. So there it is.
I think that's part of a critical business skill set that, I picked it up. I heard it talked about occasionally in corporate life, very inconsistently. And the problem with corporate life, it's like living with your parents. You hear some good theories, eat a lot of vegetables, read more, don't watch so much TV, don't sleep late, but then you watch your parents, and those things are implemented very inconsistently. So when I really started absorbing what I used to call the motivational BS, that's really helped my business. I didn't listen much to the motivational speakers either until I got out on my own and I started experiencing the problems directly, and I tried applying the things they were saying. So one of those things I would tell people that's if you're still in that sort of corporate line of thinking, or if you're still kind of negative, you'll hear this and you'll say, yeah, that's pie in the sky. It's a warm fuzzy. But here's what I'd say. Don't say no, say how. And so I do this all the time. Like, I coach other people on their businesses, in certain business processes, especially with marketing and client interaction. And I find from my own experience as well that it's very easy to say no to a client, especially when you've decided, as I have, that not every client's my client. Sometimes the answer is no, I won't do that. Like in ethical situations, I'm not going to cross that line. It's not wise, and it's not what I want to do with my life. But what I find is that before I hit that reply button and I say no, sometimes it's better to go take a shower, go to my favorite place, get coffee, eat some comfort food, like one of those nice muffins that they have down there. And suddenly I begin to think, well, let's say that I didn't say no. I said, how? How could we do this? And the answer might become, there's something I can go one better than what you asked. Well, that's a heck of a lot different than saying no. No, I won't rip off this guy's website template because that's a violation of, it's bad business, violation of copyright. But we don't have to do that to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Why not look better than the other guy? Why rip off a guy that's not going to look nearly as good as you are when we get done? So I've had to deal with that recently, and I find that there's a motivation inside of us. Those of us that are both, I think you and I both are in this category, and a lot of entrepreneurs are. Those of us that are both technical and creative, or those of us that are both sort of intellectual, philosophical types, contemplative types, we think about ideas, and also are sort of creative artist or designer types. I think that combination actually is generating a lot of the action and the excitement in the realm of free agency and contracting and so forth. I find that when, I work with another company, and I find that clients contact me all the time, and they say, well, I've been told that this cannot be done, or I've been told this can be done, and this is what you have to do. And usually when they've talked to a technical person, a tech department, the technical support person says, nope, there's no way to do what you've just asked me. And what the technical person is really responding to is the exact way they phrase the question. If you say, can I just paste this in here and it will work? And the tech guy says no. He's not looking to tell you, yeah, but there's another easier way to do what you want to accomplish. He's not looking at your project goals. He's looking at answering your question accurately and as precisely as possible, and cleanly in the short amount of time with as least room for error as possible. So that's what you're going to get from a technical person. From a sales perspective, if you talk to the sales department, they're going to tell you, of course, that can be done. They don't know how it can be done, and they don't really even know if it can be done. But they're pretty darn confident that where there's a will, there's a way, and this is a good product. What you're saying is reasonable. So yeah, they kind of are agreeing with you in an optimistic way, which sends you back over to the tech department. In fact, I used to have a job solving these problems. I was a sales engineer, the hybrid between tech and sales that could speak both languages and say, well, the tech guy's technically right. You can't do what you asked, but you can do what you want. And the sales guy is technically right. You can do what you want. You just can't do it exactly the way that you think you want. But there's a better way that you're going to want better once I describe it. And I find that corporate experience, to bring it full circle, has been one of the most valuable experiences in client interaction for me. Before I hit reply, instead of saying, no, I can't do what you asked, I think, what is it they really want? And how can I say, yes, we can do what you want, just differently and better than what you expect? And that sounds warm and fuzzy until you get down on the ground and you're doing it for yourself as part of your business. And I find that it works for my clients and me.